What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Don't Stop Podcast. Oliver is out in Nanjing, China right now in his preseason with the CBA team. So today we're just going to get a quick update from him and also do a Q&A. I know a lot of you guys have been asking us questions and in the DM, so we want to make sure we answer those questions and give you guys information that'll help you out in getting those gains. So Oliver, what's up, man? How's preseason going? How's the transition been, and how you living?
Yeah, it's been relatively smooth. Been out here a little over a month and a half, and season starts a bit later this year in December as opposed to August, September. So yeah, it's still preseason right now. Got a little over a month before games officially start. Just been training with the team. I'm pretty much used to the schedule right now, like our practices and all that, and our offensive and defensive, system, European coach, and so yeah, overall it's been good. Yeah.
Can you? I know when I was in Beijing, the preseason practice schedule can be pretty brutal. What does like a general week look like? How many hours, on the court are you guys practicing? I know because we talk, but why don't you tell people what the practice schedule looks like?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely more than I'm used to. I'd say just total time on the court. Let's say 7 days. We might have 1 day off, and 6 days on, 1 day off, and then of those 6 days, probably 5 of those days are 2-a-days. On the court 2-a-days, and then every afternoon is 2-hour live practice, and then where everyone gets taped, ankle gets taped. It's a live practice, and then in the AM it's usually skills, shooting plus a lifting time, so 1 hour and then switch, and so that's about 2.5 hours at the facility, and then so total time each day is about, if you arrive early, stay late, because I usually get some lifting in afterwards. It might be like 6.5 hours probably combined at the facility each day for 5 to 6 days, and so yeah, it's a good amount of volume, I'd say, especially with the running, especially when we play a lot of live stuff, scrimmages, and so yeah, just gotta take care of the body and then make sure you're getting good rest and eating right.
Yeah, I mean, being on the court twice a day for 4 to 4.5 hours plus a lift is definitely brutal, especially when you're looking at 5 or 6 days a week, but that's really good insight for people to know kind of what it's like to play at the professional level, especially kind of in Asian countries, and the expectations for sure. We got a lot of questions asking about your lifting split, how you lift and how you approach lifting. I think it'd be cool to maybe share about what you and I have been doing and how we've been organizing your lifts amidst kind of, this load.
Well, first of all, from a daily standpoint, I found it to work better to split the lifting up, just like we split up our basketball. So I won't usually have time to get through the full lift in the morning, and so I'll do the main stuff, might be the heavy stuff, or the warm up, the main series, maybe 2 or 3 exercises, and then in the afternoon I'll get through the practice, and then I'll do the rest of the accessory work after the afternoon practice, which I found to be a pretty good routine. Like, I'm able to, consistently do it without feeling like I'm, burning out or anything like that. And another plus side to that is if I do it after the afternoon practice, depending on how hard we did go, I can kind of regulate, do I want to do a little more? Do I want to do a little less? Maybe 1 set less? Or if I feel like we didn't go as hard today, and I know tomorrow is not like a super challenging day, or say tomorrow's like an off day, then I'll do some extra work that afternoon as well. And so that's kind of been the routine. I split the weight room stuff twice a day. And you can talk about like the actual lifts as well, upper, lower.
Yeah, so I think maybe the most important takeaway for people listening is first understanding what your overall practice schedule is going to look for, like for the week, how many times you're practicing a week and how long those sessions are and how hard those sessions are, because not all your sessions are super hard, right? Some of them are on the easier end, some of them are like super hard, right? But it's going to be undulating based off of what coach feels like you guys need. So I feel like as a player, you need to have a good understanding of what that structure is. And then we try to keep the high days high and the low days low. So what I mean by that is on a low day or on a rest day that Oliver has, we want to avoid him lifting on that day, because lifting is a stress, right? Your body doesn't distinguish between, whether you're playing basketball, lifting, or whatever. It's stress on the body. So on those rest days, we want to make sure Oliver is completely off. Like today was a completely off day for Oliver. No basketball, no lifting, and just focusing on recovery. But on those high days, we want to consolidate the load. So, maybe we'll do a high output lift where he's lifting pretty heavy, but we're keeping the volume very low. So not that many sets, 2 to 3 sets, 2 to 3 reps. So, we get his CNS firing, we get him feeling good and ramped up, but we're not beating up the body. So the other thing I want to emphasize is knowing where you are in your season, right? Preseason is not the time to be preseason should not be your main time in the weight room. You shouldn't be like, oh, this is my time to get stronger. I should be lifting 5 days a week. All of that should have been built in the off season. Right now, we're trying to keep Oliver, especially since the stress on the court is very high, we're trying to keep him healthy and performing well, but we don't want to burn him out before the season even starts, right? So Oliver and I are constantly talking where I'm asking him, how are you feeling? Like, what was the load today? How was practice today? Because that's always going to adjust kind of our lifts. And overall, we try to keep them pretty short. I don't want Oliver lifting for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, so we want to keep that overall volume a little bit lower. But it doesn't mean we're not lifting and we're not lifting heavy. It's just we have to be very strategic for it. And so this is something me and Oliver are pretty passionate about. Go ahead.
Yeah, you also mentioned about, not burning out too early or burning out at all, in fact. And yeah, we mentioned peaking at the right time because obviously it's still early and the season's long. And so you don't want to peak early in the season. You kind of want to peak mid-season or even towards playoffs, ideally. Yeah. And so, at the end of season, because that's when it matters the most. And so remembering that, I think even when I do want to do more sometimes, it's probably smarter to just, play the long game and know that it's more about the, staying healthy. If the load on the court or, during the week is already very high, then even if I want to do more work, it's probably smarter to put that energy to use elsewhere. And so in the long term, or maybe even right before season, if I need to, especially since I've been playing a while now, like if I know my shot needs a little more work, just some dedicated targeted sessions, like even just 15, 20 minutes before practice can go a long way, like 3 to 4 times a week. That might be the only reps you need to really sharpen that skill that is already in your body, but you just kind of need it to kind of surface, if that makes sense. And so maybe closer to season or when the imports arrive, because the imports aren't here yet. So depending on how the games go or, what looks I'm about to be getting, then maybe I'll spend a little more time working on that. And so come game time, the work that I am doing is super efficient. Like I'm not doing too much of stuff that I'm not going to be doing or it's not really going to be helping.
Yeah, this is a phase definitely where less is more. If you think about like LeBron or people in the NBA, they're thinking about, June. They're thinking about NBA finals and being able to make it all the way there. it's really important, that you peak at the right time, in the sense that people rarely remember how you start. People always remember how you finish, right? So if you have a great beginning of the season, but you overdo it, you get an injury, and you're not even in the playoffs, like nobody remembers like, oh, that you had a killer January, right? But you could be mid all season, but if you show up in playoffs or like that playoff game, and you do really well, like that really sticks out in people's minds. And that's also when it's an important time. It's like during playoffs and when you're going to win a championship. So obviously, if you're a foreigner or you're an import, that's going to be different because they can cancel your contract anytime and they can swap you out. So they're expecting you to perform right away. So again, in that person's situation, it's going to be a lot harder because they're always expected to be.
Yeah, you gotta be
The
ready.
import is supposed to be scoring 30 points every single night in the CBA or more. And so if he's not performing in the first month, they're getting rid of him. They're getting rid of him. So
Yep.
In that instance, it's going to look very different for that person than someone like you who's got drafted and on the team. So talking about that, we can maybe go into recovery. A lot of people ask about how do you recover after such like intensive load, or how do you recover after game days or practice days? Why don't you share a little bit about your recovery routine and how you take care of your body?
I mean, right now it's preseason, so I'll just share what I do on a day-to-day practice day, which I pretty much apply to a game day, anyways. And so I think it starts before practice, like making sure my pre-practice routine, I usually have my tea. I have like 2 apples cut up. It's super convenient in China to have fruit cut up. So that's a plus. And so I'll have that. Apple's a pretty good fruit for pre-sports. You probably don't want any like super sweet, high fructose stuff like watermelon or stuff like that. I think apple or berries is usually a very good choice. And I'll do that. And then during training, I'll make sure I'm drinking an electrolyte drink. I recently partnered with the Chinese company that sells that, but I also drink their products every practice. I might have coconut water, carbohydrate gels, energy gels. I'll make sure I have enough energy during training. And then right after practice, I'll have protein and carbs. So I won't have just protein. I'll also have whey protein isolate plus maltodextrin mix. And so I usually, depending on how hard we went, I might have anywhere between 20 to 40 grams of protein plus 20 to 40 grams of carbs. And so right there, like sometimes I hit that right after practice, and then I get into the accessory lift. So I'm not feeling like I'm completely drained, like I can't do anything. So there's something in my body, something in my system that I don't have to, it's not a solid food, so I don't have to digest it like that. That's perfect for me between the time I finish practice and the time before I have to get dinner or get an actual solid meal. Because sometimes if I'm trying to get in some extra weight room work, then you got to make sure you have something in your body or else you're kind of just running on fumes. And so that is one recovery. Like nutrition is the number one thing that kicks it off. And then after that, I'd say, like depending if it's lunch, dinner, usually have some type of carb, protein. And then every night I pretty much get soft tissue work with our team. So like it could be massage, you could use a gun if it, foam roll if you don't have, access to that. In China, you can get like a foot massage as well, which is pretty cheap. I like that a lot as well. I find that helps. And then before bed, I have like a whole, sleep routine, wearing these, it's nighttime here, daytime for Josh. And so after, before bed, the 1 or 2 hours, I'm usually wearing blue light blocking glasses. And I have this red light that I have in the room. Before bed, pretty much those 30, 45 minutes, I have no blue lights. My phone's on airplane mode. So that's another stressor that people don't really think about as much is your phone, because EMFs, phone scrolling. And so that was we actually got another question about that too, so it kind of ties in together. And so getting a good night of sleep, we didn't even get into supplements, which would be like a whole many minutes on its own, but I'll have some supplements before bed, and then get a good night of rest, and that's pretty much the main part of my recovery routine or evening routine on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say something on this episode that I think is really important, is that a lot of people ask for what's the perfect lifting split. People are going to hear you say that, and they're going to want to know what supplements, show me a photo of the supplements you take. And that's all great. And it's not information we're per se gatekeeping from you guys. But I think the most important thing is you guys need to, this is stuff Oliver and I have experimented and tested on ourselves. We've done research on, we've tried it on ourselves. We've maybe tried it with other players. The whole point of it is you have to figure out what works for you. Like the most optimal routine for Oliver, for lifting is not going to be the most optimal lifting routine for the 16-year-old kid who's just trying to copy the lifting split you're doing. Ultimately, you have to understand what your goals are, have a theory on how you're going to achieve those goals. Obviously, you can ask those, and those are things we can walk you through, but you have to experiment with what works with you. If you're following Oliver's lifting schedule, but you find yourself completely beat up, you can't even perform on the court, then that is not the right lifting program for you, because when we lift, the whole point of lifting is to enhance what you do on the court. Because if you can't perform on the court, it doesn't matter how strong you are, it doesn't matter how good your lifts are or how resilient or robust you are. If you can't perform on the court and you don't feel good on the court, you're not going to get playing time, you're not going to get a roster spot, you're not going to get paid, right? So same thing with recovery. Like, it's not about copying the supplements or copying the routine, but there are principles, right? So there are principles of like reducing blue light. That's like a important principle. Like, do you need blue light blocking glasses? No, but maybe you can put away your phone for the last 1 to 2 hours, right? Supplement wise, not all of you guys are going to be able to afford all the supplements that he takes. Well, you don't need supplements they're extra, right? So the most important key is that Oliver takes his sleep really, we both treat our sleep very important, and it's really important to go to bed, trying to go to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time and maintaining that circadian rhythm. And having some type of wind down routine. That wind down routine for me, I stretch for like 10 to 15 minutes where I just reflect on the day. I might journal, I foam roll for a little bit, and then I do like a simple breathing routine where I just set a timer for, it depends on the day, how tired I am, 2 to 5 minutes, and I just in through my nose, long exhales, and I just try to melt through the floor, right? So what I'm trying to say is like, your routine doesn't need to look like ours. You just should have some type of routine that kicks the wind down process for going to sleep and getting rest.
Yeah, everyone's going to have a different recovery routine. In general, living healthier is probably a principle that can't do you harm. And so, just learning about your body, learning about what is good for your body. I started this journey myself probably around college, was when I started like really diving deep on what's good for the body, like through podcasts, through reading, through all kinds of resources. And then what I'm doing now is kind of stuff that I've done over the years and realized that they do help for me. And I've tried supplements that don't work. I don't find works out well for me. And so there are probably some that are more like bang for your buck, let's say, that you could do. And so, I think it's more important to be curious and, want to improve the area, because if you can recover better, then you can also handle more load. And so if you can handle more load, then you can train harder, do a little more without beating yourself to the ground. And so it really takes time, but it all adds up like over weeks, over months, and then over years. Like that work capacity, it's over years.
Yeah, so if I had to give one takeaway to people listening to this would be, if you want to train hard and you want to go hard, your recovery has to be as equal as how hard you train, right? Or even more, right? So you need to, a lot of people work really hard, but then slack on the recovery portion, right? Some people drink, some people smoke, some people inconsistent sleep time, doom scrolling before they go to bed, no mobility, no any type of soft tissue work on themselves, right? So if you want to work hard and you want to be the best player, you have to treat your recovery with the same level of intensity as you would treat your on-court workouts or your weight room, right? Because you can only go as hard as your recovery. All the gains that you get come when you are recovering, when you're sleeping.
Yeah, after you recover from it.
It's you're recovering and your body's adapting to the stress that you put on it, right? So you can't get those gains or maximize on those gains if you're not resting or sleeping or taking care of your body nutrition-wise, as well as using the recovery modalities, whatever, soft tissue work, hot tub, ice tub, ice bath if you want, Normatec boots, like all of those are, help in certain regards. That was recovery, but, a lot of questions also, talked about so that's post-game. Now we maybe can go backwards and go to pre-game. A lot of people are asking about how do you ramp up your body for a pre-game match, and then also for a match, and then how do you also deal with potentially nerves before a game if you have some anxiety or you're playing a better team or the crowd is big. How do you approach those two things, and what's your routine for pre-game?
I'd say if it's depends on the time of the game. If it's like if you're playing professionally, most games are at night, and so number one thing is to do something during the day. Most teams might have an obligatory, like you have to do team shoot around, then you're gonna get moving. The team trainer is gonna have everyone do some type of stretching or movement, and so that kind of helps. But if not, I'd highly recommend doing something, whether that's like a quick dynamic warm-up routine into, I believe in like game day lifting. And so something fast, something to prime your nervous system. You could throw med balls, you could do some jumping with less eccentric components. So maybe you do like box jumps, like onto something, and then, you could do it for your upper body too. Just anything fast, nothing crazy eccentric. And then, some overcoming isometrics are good as well. Those are all good for game day. And then, taking a nap midday as well helps. If it's a nighttime game. If you're listening to this, you might be in high school, you might play at like 3 p.m. Or if it's AU tournament, you might be playing at 9 a.m. Right? So it's all going to look a little different. You kind of just need to get your body, get your brain, your nervous system revved up. And so having, caffeine helps. I drink my Da Hong Pao tea. It's a Chinese black tea that has caffeine and L-theanine in it. So it's a natural, good mixture that kind of keeps you locked in, but not over jittery. Because for some people, if you drink coffee or like a triple espresso shot, you're going to get like revved up, but then you're also going to get jittery. And so that tea that I drink, or even I know some people like yerba mate. That's a good option as well. Obviously, just drinking that is not going to turn you into the best basketball player. So don't get us wrong. But these are just like little routines that I do because my family's like a big tea drinker. And something to get
you have to consider the effects of it too. Like if you have 7 o'clock game and you're injecting caffeine, you know, to get yourself revved up. Like,
so
I've seen a lot of players like they can't fall asleep till like 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning. Right?
Yeah. So you kind of have to weigh the pros and cons. If you're only playing one game and the performance of that game is what matters the most,
it's really important.
then do whatever you got to do.
Everything you got.
To perform well that game. If you got that game and you got it back to back the next day, early in the day, then you probably don't want to go crazy on the caffeine the first game, because you want to also be able to sleep for the next day game. So you kind of have to see what's going on. And I'd say pregame. So pregame, you might have your shooting. Everyone has a little different routine. It might be, you know, ball handling. If you're a point guard, I mean, you know, you generally see more point guards doing, let's say, like 2 ball handling drills in their pregame warm up. I think it's like gives them a little bit of comfort. If you're a shooter, then you might want to shoot more. I mean, everyone should probably shoot to some capacity, but I'd say if for me, playing defense is, you know, how I make money, how I get on the court. And so I need to make sure my feet and my nervous system is firing. And so I'll make sure I mix in some hip activation stuff, like quick footwork drills where I'm like forcing my feet to move quickly, or some change of direction stuff. I'll make sure my hips are stretched out, my glutes, internal rotation, basically making sure I'm moving well. And so come game time, I'm ready to go. And I'd say on pregame jitters,
it's okay to feel them.
Yeah, it's totally normal, especially if it's a very important game. That's just a part of sport. And so
if you don't feel anything, it's kind of weird, right?
It's like,
bro,
is this even important, or do you even like? It's very normal, but I would say having a breathing routine helps. Like you could do some meditation work before game, or just focus on your breath. And then it's also different if you're starting and if you're, like we talked about, if you're coming off the bench. Because if you're starting, for me, once like the ball tips and I get into defense and, you know, the flow of things, I'm pretty much not really thinking about anything anymore. I'm just playing the game. And then just thinking about the next play, what I should be doing. If you are on the bench, I'd say, you know, having a ball in your hands could be good. You know, just like, you're just fidgeting with a ball. That helps.
Until coach sees you and he's like, yo, what are you doing, dog? You should
coach,
be clapping.
On that note, I was in Macau for NBA China games, and so NBA is pretty thought out in terms of the rotations. Like coach knows at what point in what quarter who's gonna play, and so a few minutes before they check in, some guys will start riding a bike, do some banded activation drills, do some A skips, dynamic stuff. And so if you know you're for sure going to be playing, if you're a 6-man or you're going to check in pretty soon, I'd say stay loose. You know, like every time there's a timeout, do some squats, or that's what I usually do, because I don't like to sit for too long and then get stiff, and then because I'm not moving as well when I get out there and have to play defense.
Yeah, my advice would be warming up is the most important part of warm up in the weight room or on the court is increase in body temperature. That is what warm up is. Now, if you're about to enter the basketball court, as Oliver said, if you're primarily a defender or a slasher or shooter, it would make sense to do some of those things that you're about to do on the court. So I think you want to keep your warm up quite short, so very intense. So if Oliver's on the court, I'm gonna be like, all right, the best ball handler, you're gonna go up and down against Oliver. Oliver, I want you full court. I want Oliver full court, locking him down, aggressive pressing. But we're not gonna do a crazy amount of reps. We might do like 3 reps where Oliver is experiencing game level intensity, but very small volume, because warming up it's warming up. We don't want to overly fatigue you or tire you out, but we want you to be prepared for going into the game. Same thing with shooting. I'm going to sprint to my spot and get those maybe like whatever shot I'm used to taking in the game. I really want it to be high intensity, but low volume. And then pregame, we've talked about it, like high knee jumps, quick feet stuff, getting your nervous system firing, using breath work, 2 inhales to kind of get you from, a parasympathetic system to a very, fight or flight, trying to get ready to go into the game, hard charging.
Or slap yourself in the face like 3 times.
Yeah, no, even like slapping yourself, like your body, like those type of hits, like whatever works, like quick foot, quick hip rotations, quick jumps.
Yeah. Hip flips.
Just to get your heart rate warmed up, and then sprinting. When coach calls you, just sprinting there. And then, even when you're at half court, like keeping yourself moving, whatever you need. I think most important, maybe that players aren't doing, is just like visualizing and being focused while you're on the bench. If you're going to sub in for the 2 spot or the 1 spot, notice what the defense is doing. Notice how they're guarding the pick and rolls. Notice you want to be visually observing. You don't want to be like having your mind drift away. So if you're the person that struggles with overthinking, anxiety, the best thing you can do is find something else to focus on. If you're focusing on what's going on the court and you're like, oh, what's he doing? Your brain's not going to have time to be thinking anxious thoughts, because you're present. You're focusing on what's in front of you, right? And then think about what you would need to do if a guy's really hot, like getting hot, and you're going in, you're gonna guard him. Like, how can you disrupt him? You like thinking of different strategies. That'll all keep your brain occupied. But when you get into the game, you won't be lost or not there. You should. Coach is expecting you not to miss a beat once you get into the game, right? So visualizing, observing, reflecting, thinking, keep yourself active. That's all gonna really help you enter the game fully locked in. And back to the very beginning, nerves are very normal. Like, embrace them. I would say don't think of them as a bad thing. Try to reframe. It's not like, dang, we're gonna play this team today. It's like, I get to play this team today, and I'm gonna have fun playing them. Like, I'm playing professional basketball. Like, I'm on the court. I'm healthy. Like, reframing the opportunity versus the other thought process, which is like, I hope we don't lose. I hope I make my first shot. I hope I don't embarrass myself. Man, they said this scout or this person's coming to the game. I wonder what they're going to think if I play bad. Like, nobody thinks like, I'm going to miss this shot and makes this shot. Well, maybe some people do. Maybe Steph Curry can do that, or you get lucky. But what I'm trying to say is like how you start framing your body, even body posture, like how you coming in with big body posture, right? If you kind of like slink into the game like this, coach is going to be like, what the hell? Like, you want to be like upright, like even if you're not feeling confident. Faking confidence has shown like it'll boost your ability to feel confident in what you do, right? Obviously, we're saying if you suck at basketball and you haven't been training off season, none of this is going to help, right? So we're all assuming that you've put in the work, you've watched the film, you've done the lifts, you've worked hard in your off season, you practice hard, you're taking care of your body. We're assuming all of those things, and now we're talking about these 1%ers here and there.
It's not really a pregame jitter, but it would be like a pregame reminder for myself, because for me, my role is locking up, one of the best players, right? And so
for sure,
I need to stay out of foul trouble.
Correct.
In the first quarter.
Yeah.
And so I need to remind myself to be super aggressive, but play clean. Like especially this year, playing in a new league, new refs, many things out of my control. I need to be overly like show my hands, like not gamble too much. I mean, I could still do some stuff off ball, but especially on ball, I gotta really like not give them any reason to call, dumb fouls on me. Because if I pick up 2 early fouls, I'm out of the game, and so I gotta stay on the court, and I need to do whatever it takes to stay on the floor, and not picking up early fouls is. In the past, that's been one of the main things that gets me out of the game, is picking up 1 or 2 early fouls. And so as defense being one of the things like I pride myself on, or I'm out there for, I need to make sure, like for you it might be something else, but for me, like I just try to remind myself, like, you know, no fouls, no dumb fouls, basically.
Yeah, and if I'm the other team and I know we're playing against you, I'm telling my import or I'm telling my top player to try to draw a foul on you in the first second. Yeah, he's gonna be really aggressive. He's gonna press up on you. Try to get make sure anytime his hand is on you, try to get his see if the refs are calling that and stuff. Because I know if I get you in 2 fouls, it's like boom, they're gonna take you off the court. But also, for you, it's like knowing which ref is reffing your game. You'll get a sense too, like, oh, this ref hates me.
Yeah.
This ref is a huge hater, watches all my doing videos, thinks I'm a fake defender, and he's gonna call everything on me, right? And he's stepping on the court. It's like, dude, I'm gonna have to play completely clean. I might be like this, and he might still call a foul, right? So you have to pick up like that, and you don't have to wait till he calls fouls on you. You can also watch how he's calling fouls on your teammates too, and how he's just playing the game, right? Yeah. And that's something that's like very important for Oliver this season. Is foul trouble is going to be probably the most important, and not overextending yourself, getting beat too bad, and putting maybe the rest of your team in bad positions. Like you learning how to do that in a team setting, in a professional environment, is going to, amongst a new environment with CBA teams and CBA refs, you're going to have to learn that aspect of basketball.
Yeah, that's probably the number one of the top things that I have to basically adjust to, is that side, not fouling, and then adjusting to, each game, different players, different schemes, whether other import is like more of a slasher or a lights out shooter, and then like you said, the refs, whether it's a home or away game, like I've already heard, there's a very big disparity in what's going to get called, and so
it's not about what's fair, it's about what's in front of you and what's happening. That's most important. I think there was 1 or 2 questions that we can finish up with. We can condense these 2 questions. Someone asked, what's the most efficient way to train for regular people? Not everyone.
You can start with this.
Okay, not everyone is like a professional player or on a team. And then the other person, I think someone else were asked how to build up confidence on the court when they lack real game experience. So we can kind of combine those 2 questions. If you're a regular person, I would say, if I had to give you a few top tips, I would say you have to have a intention for whatever workout or game that you're about to play in. And what I mean by that is you have to have some type of focus for yourself. It could be like, I really want to focus on shooting when I'm open today. I really want to focus on getting to the rim. I really want to focus on not turning the ball over, playing good defense. But you have to have some type of focus for yourself whenever you step on the court. You can't just step on the court and be like, I feel like I'm going to do ball handling today or whatever. If you step into the game, you can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to play. I'm talking about an ordinary person who's trying to get better. So if you want to make the most out of your time, have a specific intention with what you want to do. The second thing I would do is scaling, which is you want to, if you're a normal person, I'm not going to try to play in the best competition every single day, because or go against like the best players every single day, because it's going to be hard to build confidence if I'm always getting beat or always losing or stealing, right? So if I want to improve as a regular person in the most efficient way, like I'm going to have a group of friends who I'm better than or like about the same, right? Well, let's just say I'm way better than them. During those pickup games or when I'm working out, I'm going to work on my weaknesses, right? I'm going to try to if I'm working on my left hand or working on getting to the hoop or something I'm bad at, like those are the skills that, I'm going to really work on with people who are worse than me. Now, if I'm working out, if I'm playing with people better than me, then during those times, I'm just gonna let anything go. I'm just gonna try to play the best I can and see where my weaknesses are, because they're gonna expose my weaknesses, right? So I think the most efficient way is throughout the week having different levels of competition and different levels of focus. So if you're playing against worse competition, you're gonna work on your weaknesses. Maybe your Friday when you play with the best comp, it's just a performance day. It's a test, evaluation, see where you're at against these top guys. And then another day, it can be, a mix of whatever you want. It could be the same level or better or whatnot. But what I'm saying is the most important is during the week is you want to have some type of undulating schedule. Now, confidence is built in your work. If you're not doing the work, it's very hard to feel confident, right? So doing everything I just said, and then to maximize those sessions. So first I said intention, so having a very specific intention with what you want to do. Second, I said making sure the intensity or competition level varies throughout the week. And then third, I think if you really want to maximize that and build confidence, is reflection. So right after your session, after you dab up everyone, just spend 5-10 minutes there thinking about what went well, what didn't go well, what you want to try next time. As someone who's a working professional, your job is not to watch film, watch YouTube videos, and think about the game all the time. So you want to maximize. Now, some of you guys do, but if I were to maximize those time, if I was working like a 9-to-5 job, the time before I get to the facility or the court I'm going to, I'm thinking about that intention. I'm thinking about what happened last week. I'm thinking about whatever. And then on the way home, or after the thing, I'm thinking about what went well, what didn't go well, what I want to improve, what I want to try to what worked, what didn't work. When I tried that, what happened, and spend time reflecting. Now, you can make a 1-hour session way more valuable if you do that before and after part, versus some people, they just drive, they go, they play, they just pull up, they play, they have fun, and then they smoke a cigarette, whatever, and they just go home, right? So if you're a working professional, if you just add those 3 things and you did it consistently, I think you would see a 2 or 3x performance. A lot of you guys become so complacent and just do the same thing over and over again. I play 3 times a week, but with no intention, no reflection. It's if you're not actively thinking about how you're going to get better, what you're going to change, you're just going to stay the same, especially if you're an older player.
Yeah, I think I don't have experience in that domain, personal experience, because
you're I don't play with normies. I don't train.
No, I mean, as in this, getting better is my full-time job. Yeah. It's not I got well, actually, I've done internships back in summer where I did have 9 to 5. I had to go into work, but then sometimes during work I'm thinking about the game and stuff, and then just can't wait for afterwards so I can get my workouts in. But that was back in sophomore year of college, and I was yeah, this is not for me. But it's just about maximizing your time, any time that you do put into training. And I think also the off-court stuff that you don't need to be spending time on the court with, your sleep, your nutrition. Definitely want to dial that in even more, just so, especially if you're getting older, your body's not going to be recovering as well. And so, during the workday, even get up sometimes, do a little stretching, not try to avoid long periods where you're inactive. Make sure you're eating well. Even those things we talked about, the recovery stuff, the nutrition things, you could still do, because you might not be training 2 or 3 times a day, but you could still recover better from that session that you do. And so
yeah, about what you were saying with focus, a lot of people, not every rep is equal value between 2 people working out, right? So 2 people with the same skill, same level, can be working out for an hour doing the exact same workout that we uploaded, and one could get 20% better and player 2 could get 10% better, right? So how focused you are at what you're doing at that moment is also super important. Are you just going through the motions? Are you going full speed? Are you trying to understand the why? That's all really going to be instrumental on whether you improve or not. the greatest superpower you could develop if you're a player or kid or student listening to this podcast is your ability to focus and your ability, your attention. I think today, we got a bunch of questions on dopamine and cell phone usage and whatnot. Yep. Like, if I had one challenge to my younger self or to people out there is be single focused. If you're driving, drive. Don't drive and swipe on doing like at the same time. If you are pooping, poop. If you're training, train. If you're eating, eat. Like, I think in today's environment, we think we're multitasking, but we're actually just task switching. And being able to focus and be present at whatever task you're doing, I think is just so invaluable. And being okay with boredom. If you're going for a walk, not scrolling on your phone. When you are going on that walk and you are looking around and your body's doing the automated process of walking, you're able to access creative processes of your brain and think about things deeply, right? If you're always task switching and always thinking about different things and your focus is always drifting, you're not able to attend to kind of what is in front of you. And so if you can develop that skill, that's something I'm really challenging myself. Now when I try to eat, I just try to be present and eat. I'm not eating and also replying to text messages and stuff. If I'm going for a walk, I used to maybe scroll IG for a little bit. I'm just trying to go for a walk. Even when I'm on the toilet, not spending extra time on the toilet, just being doing everything with intention and focus. Because if you want to reclaim your mind, if you're my mind can't focus on anything, this is the battleground. And it goes onto the court too. If you're doing that every other aspect on the court, if your mind is racing and going all over the place and everywhere else in your life, do you think when you get on the court, you're magically going to be I'm locked in? No, it's going to be the same thing. Coach is talking, you're huh? What was the drill? Oh, damn, I wasn't paying attention. Oh man, my back is so sore. So if you're going to do something, do it 100%. That's what I'm saying. If you want to be good. If you want to be mediocre, just do whatever. Don't stay the same. But this is the Gains Don't Stop podcast. This is about self-improvement. This is about being the best and highest version of ourselves. And me and Oliver are trying to just share, what we're learning and accumulating on this process, but also trying to challenge you guys to come up with us and to become the best version of yourselves, because that's all we want, right? So we're trying to do more of these Q&As where we can answer some of your questions. On the same vein, my pushback to you guys is to come to us with your thought process or what you've tried first, and maybe that way we can better help you troubleshoot versus very random, very open-ended questions send me your lifting routine. That is not going to make sense for you guys, right? And then lastly,
well,
if you guys
go ahead. On that note about the focus, it's very, very, very helpful to just keep track of what you're trying to get better on. And I keep a journal. I write in my journal every night before bed, and that is usually the time that I am actually giving myself these reminders that I need to focus better. Say, we talked about, when you're eating, just eat. And so I have noticed when there are times when I'm scrolling or, I'm replying to messages while doing something, there is just this build up in a little I don't know what you call it, but it's a mental fatigue where you go through, however long of it, but you're just not as focused. You just feel like maybe it's a task switching, but it is just this a residual mental fatigue that builds up over the course of a day, hours. And so I find that when I have time to actually sit in front of my journal, no electronics, I can just write and plan, and then I do one task, and I get through it, then I get to the next thing. I have like a checklist. When I'm able to do that, there is like a sense of accomplishment from being productive, and that's actually a good feeling. And that's like a good
good dopamine hit.
yeah, it's like a good dopamine hit. That's not coming from screens. That's like, oh, I actually did something, I was productive. And so whenever I'm able to get in that kind of environment or cycle, that's when I'm at my best. Like when I'm even able to get stuff done outside of the court, because I'll always get my like lifting stuff in. It's like doing the other stuff that I'm trying to get done outside of the court with the hours that I have. And so, yeah, I think keeping a journal helps. Like everything we shared, keeping a journal, hold yourself accountable, and then just keep track. And then that way, when you do ask questions or you do look back, you're able to, just see how you're doing. Yeah, see if you're doing it well. Yeah.
Now, having said that, a lot of you, we've probably got like 20 questions on Oliver's lifting split. I've been helping Oliver with lifting for the last couple months. If you do want to see that, drop a comment in, and maybe we will drop an in-season lifting split for different levels, or a off-season lifting split where you guys can follow along based on your goals. It won't be a cookie cutter program, right? Based on your goals, help you design and figure out your lifting, because apparently a lot of people want to know that. But other than that, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We're going to keep them coming, and follow Oliver during his rookie year in the CBA. Thanks for listening.